Ukrainian military pilots are performing tasks that are not even technically provided for by their aircraft, and operating using modern tactics. Western F-16 fighters will fully reveal the potential of pilots of the armed forces of Ukraine. Source: pilot Vadim Voroshilov, in an interview with Ukrainska Pravda. Quote, "A lot can be said, but I will only say that we are performing tasks that technically were not even laid down at the design stage of our aircraft. Enjoying the advantage, the enemy operates according to textbooks on tactical and fire training. We operate using more modern methods that are not laid out in any of the textbooks of any country in the world. Western-type fighters will help us to fully develop our potential." Details: he added that Ukrainian pilots have very limited technical capabilities, but they try to work efficiently in severe conditions. Voroshilov also agreed with the statement that NATO pilots will have something to learn from the Ukrainians after the war. At the same time, he emphasized that the F-16, which is one of the most mass-produced aircraft in its class in the world, is much needed at this stage. Ukraine will be able to service it, and thanks to its Western partners, it will not experience a shortage of ammunition. Quote, "We can, of course, consider different types, for example, Gripen, Eurofighter, fighter jets made and used in European military forces. They are more resistant to our airfield infrastructure, but for all that, they are not mass-produced. There is no, let's say, secondary market for such aircrafts in the world. If you consider the time after the victory, then there is a lot to choose from. Of course, there are aircraft that, I would say, are almost perfect in terms of combat capabilities. These are F-22s, F-35s. But at the moment, it is the F-16 that will greatly improve the situation and help our defense forces on many levels." One of the reasons for the delay in the transfer of Western fighters to Ukraine is the long-term training of Ukrainian pilots who are used to working on Soviet-type aircraft. The House of Representatives of the U.S. Congress has approved funding for the training of Ukrainian pilots on U.S. fighter jets, allocating $100 million for this purpose. Earlier, Ukraine's Air Force chose a group of pilots who can begin training on modern foreign fighters, and it is now up to Western partners to decide on the types of aircraft that can be provided to Ukraine. The Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, said that the statements of U.S. officials from the Pentagon about directing the beheading blow to the Kremlin are, in fact, a threat to the physical liquidation of the Russian head of state, according to TASS. The Russian foreign minister added in a statement to the TASS agency that Washington went further than everyone there. Some officials from the Pentagon threatened to direct a beheading blow to the Kremlin. In fact, we are talking about a threat to physically liquidate the head of the Russian state. Lavrov warned that if someone nurtures such ideas, he should think carefully about the possible consequences of such plans. Dozens of Russian troops were reportedly killed in Ukraine's southern Kherson Oblast on Monday, Ukraine's military reported, as clashes continue to intensify more than a month after President Vladimir Putin's forces retreated from the region's port city. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine wrote in an update on its Facebook page on Wednesday that its soldiers attacked enemy positions near Chaplinka in the Kherson region on Monday, killing about 50 Russian soldiers. Days earlier, Russia forces shelled the city of Kherson, leaving at least 10 dead and dozens injured. Kherson was seized by Putin's troops in early March, shortly after the full-scale invasion of Ukraine began. Kyiv officials expressed outrage on December 24, saying Ukrainians who were shopping for the holidays were killed in the attack. Dark Christmas Eve in Kherson. Russian invaders attacked the unconquered city with heavy weapons. 7 people who went out for Christmas shopping were killed and 35 were injured. #Russia terrorist state, Ukraine's Ministry of Defense tweeted at the time, sharing images of burning cars and a blurred-out body. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russia of killing for the sake of intimidation and pleasure. This is not sensitive content, it's the real life of Ukraine. Kherson. On the eve of Christmas, in the central part of the city, its terror, Zelensky tweeted, "The world must see what absolute evil we are fighting against." The attack came more than a month after Russian troops were forced to abandon Kherson city in November, and 10 months since the start of the war. Russia announced its withdrawal from the key Ukrainian city of Kherson on November 9th. It became the first major region to fall to Putin's forces after the war began, and had been Russia's biggest military achievement of the conflict, in part due to its strategic location and proximity to Crimea. Kherson is one of 4 territories that Putin illegally annexed in September following sham referendums. The government has been reviewing the StrikeMaster land-based maritime strike system and the naval strike missile anti-ship and land attack armament as potential variants, the report said, Sputnik reported. This, StrikeMaster, is something you put on an island or in northern Australia and it will provide significant coverage. It requires only a few personnel. The effect generated is persistent, and the launcher is difficult to find. John Fry, the general manager at the Kongsberg Defence Australia International Technology Group headquartered in Norway, was quoted as saying by the Australian media. The report added that Australia had lagged for years in obtaining mobile missile launchers and aimed to make up for it as Australian Deputy Prime Minister and Defence Minister Richard Marles called for new weapon systems to threaten an adversary much further from the Australian shores. Beijing earlier said that the reason for difficulties in its relations with Canberra in recent years is that the Australian authorities treat China as an adversary rather than a partner. A recent Ukrainian strike against Russia's Engels 2 military airbase may complicate Russia's campaign of mass missile against Ukrainian energy infrastructure, the New York Times reported on December 27. The newspaper noted that the strikes have forced Russia to relocate its aircraft, potentially complicating Moscow's campaign of aiming cruise missile strikes at Ukraine's energy grid. The NYT also noted that cruise missiles are sometimes fired from ground-based launchers at the airfield, meaning that Ukrainian attacks against Russian airfields may damage those as well. Ukrainian military intelligence chief Kirill Budanov has previously said that Russia has missiles remaining for only 2 or 3 mass strikes. He noted that Russia is attempting to preserve their hypersonic Kinzhal missiles, as they lack the capability of manufacturing new missiles. According to Budanov, Russia had 47 Kinzhal missiles at the beginning of the full-scale war against Ukraine. A large explosion was recorded at the Engels 2 airbase in Russia's Saratov Oblast, about 700 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, overnight on December 26 to 27. The airbase is a prime launch point for Russian aerial bombers and other aircraft. The Russian Ministry of Defense claimed that the blast was caused by pieces of debris from an intercepted Ukrainian drone on their way to the base. While no damage to aircraft has been confirmed, Russian authorities did acknowledge that 3 service members were killed in the attack.